What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction. Back with some more survival guide. I apologize. I realize I'm jumping the queue a bit. I just got this CD. I really enjoyed the first tune, so I did want to come back and listen to another one quickly. So we're up to the second track, which is Sour Sorrow, as I mentioned at the end of the reaction to the first tune, Bad Little Seed, which if you haven't seen and you're seeing this, I encourage you to check that out. But yeah, this is from deathdreams. Again, it's a 2023 album from a singer whose real name is Emily Whitehurst. She's been in punk bands. 20 years ago, I knew her as the lead singer of Tsunami Bomb. That's a more recent album from them, but she was the lead singer on this album, The Definitive Act. I saw them perform a concert as an opening act for another punk band, and they absolutely killed it, and her presence and her vocal power was very memorable, so I ended up buying the CD. Long story short, in the last decade, it seems that she's branched out into a number of different genres, including like synth pop and art pop and even dance pop. So ultimately, I'm just really interested by her musical output and indeed reconnecting with her at the same time that I'm reconnecting with the reformulated version of Tsunami Bomb, one of the groups that she was a singer in, even though that reformulation doesn't involve her. Anyway, yeah, I was fascinated by the first track, keen to hear what this one will sound like. It's called Sour Sorrow. I mean, sorrow is already, a sadness, if not an overt depression. It's a malaise, it's a melancholy. It's feeling upset about maybe events or developments, whether it's in relation to another person or your own life. So then sour, something that's sour, it's a taste, it's a type of sensation, but when used in relation to human relations, it often means things that have gone problematic, things of which have turned bad and are no longer fit for consumption or interaction, if you will. So it sounds like a double negative, but not in a way that turns it positive, just in a way that means it's more than just sadness. It's this corroded, corrupted, and no longer decent form of sorrow. So not sure what to expect there. Let's find out. This is Survival Guide, real name Emily Whitehurst, from her 2023 album deathdreams, and the track is called Sour Sorrow.
It's so embarrassing to admit that I still feel sick when a song comes on the radio. Flavor's bitter like vinegar, but you've been with her for ages, and now I know I'm so tired of pining over you. If there was something I could do, I would do it. Parting is such sorrow. The taste you left with me, it's a real tough pill to swallow. So hard to believe that it's just sorrow. I used to think I was oh so strong. I was never wrong, never let a man get me down. Salty memories make my skin burn. When will I learn to forget you now? I'm so ashamed
Click, pluck,
that I
strings.
can't be happy for you. If there was something I could do, I would do it. Parting is such sorrow. The taste you left with me, it's a real tough pill to swallow. So hard to believe that it's just sorrow. It's just sorrow. when we used to put on a show. Part of me believed now it's just so.
I thought it was done.
The taste you left with me, it's a real tough pill to swallow. So hard to believe that it's just so. Yeah, will this feeling ever leave?
The unanswered question. And not the Charles Ives piece. Yeah, that's a really great tune. I'm loving this album. Obviously early days, but it really just has this fascinating blend of electronic sounds, natural instruments, a bit of a punk edge in the lyrics, and indeed, it sounds like, with one of those lines in particular about putting on their show, that this may be about someone with whom she has had, a history in terms of, whether in Tsunami Bomb or some other band that she's been in, someone who was involved in her music history. But yeah, parting is such sweet sorrow is the common phrase, and it didn't occur to me that sweet and sour, which, I suppose I should have picked up on that possibility. But yeah, it's an inversion or a twist of a common phrase, so that you're sad to see someone go. In this case, parting is sour sorrow. They went, and there's no the reason I'm upset is because I'm so fond of them. It's the way that they were hurt by this other person, and they can't believe that the other person ended up doing or behaving in a way that seems so different from the way things began. And it sounds like she's saying even after years, it's still there, and she really cared about this other person. They meant a whole lot to her, and they had something special, and it seems like she thought that was something that may continue, but eventually this other person took off, and she's still sort of grappling with the way she feels about it. So I think it's a song that most people can relate to. I certainly have a couple relationships out of a larger number where I look back and it's like, man, it still makes me sad to think about, because what could have been or what should have continued, or just the what ifs, and will I ever be able to look back at those relationships without immediately kind of, oh man, it makes me sad to think about. So I don't know. And to her question, is this feeling will it ever go away? It seems to me, or at least in my experience, that's probably not going to happen. It'll probably always be there on some level, even if it's not as open a wound as it perhaps was years before. So yeah, I think a very personal tune, a tune that again has a bit of an edge to it in terms of a couple of the lines, and ultimately I really enjoy the blend. Again, it felt like it may have just been a keyboard line, but it felt like the main vocal line was like this plucked string sort of run. There were obviously bowed string sounds, like this really high kind of electronic organ sound, and as well as that, it almost felt like live world percussion, like someone tapping like a typewriter, or hitting wooden sticks against something metal. It didn't feel, or the side of a drum instead of the actual top of a drum. So yeah, just really interesting sonic elements as well. So yeah, her voice sounding fantastic. And it's interesting, as I was listening to this, I was thinking about distortion. Mark mentioned he did enjoy the first tune, Bad Little Seed, but he was saying there were a couple moments where it felt like there didn't have to be so much distortion on her voice, because she has a very nice voice to begin with. I would agree with that, but I do also understand that sometimes distorting a voice, I'm listening to Cocteau Twins and some other groups where there's different vocal lines from the same voice, and then some of them are in the foreground, some in the background, some distorted, some more true. So as I was listening to this, I was trying to pay attention to the way the voice was presented. Obviously I will continue to do that over the course of the album, but yeah, I do think she has a very nice voice, and I'm just enjoying the blend of sounds. So shout out to all those who gave a listen to this. I appreciate it. There were a couple people I mentioned, based on the way I heard this, although Mark did say he didn't really hear Bad Little Seed as sounding too much like Dubstar. I suppose to me it had that light dark feeling and a sweet female voice, so to me my brain went to Dubstar. I often like try to find comparative references to sort of make sense of what I'm hearing in the moment, and then over time maybe more differences between things I will begin to notice. But I suppose as a reference point my brain is like, okay, so this is kind of like this. But yeah, again, whether or not the first tune sounded Dubstar like, it is cool to hear an album that's clearly blending electronic and regular sounds. And indeed, Mark said, excuse me as my voice dies, but Mark said that it didn't so much remind him of Dubstar, but he mentioned Mulu, and I looked them up on Discogs. One album, a few EPs, late 90s, that's it. Although there was like a 2023 like trance single of a couple tracks they recorded back in the 90s. But yeah, I've never heard of Mulu, but just that reference alone makes me curious. So yeah, good to learn about all these groups over time that either passed my radar and I didn't hear about, or in this case that I'm trying to like track down and discover based on her being involved in an earlier punk group that I was interested in. So yeah, all good things. Let me know what you think of this tune. I will see you next time. Peace.